Hello everyone, welcome to another GT Sport Daily Race race and strategy guide. It's week 52, so that means this is the last Daily Race strategy guide for 2021, and the last race sees us heading to Fuji International Speedway in Japan in the Group 1 machinery. 13 laps to get round, tyre weight at times 7, fuel at times 2, soft and medium tyres available, both of which should be mandatory. BOP is on, damage is off, it's a rolling start and slipstream is real. But yeah, I thought this was a much more commonly used combination than what it is, but the last time we actually visited here was well over a year ago, certainly just in the Group 1 category. We did visit it in just the Group C cars, but yeah, I did find out quite quickly that, well, obviously the LMP1 cars, which are going to be the fastest cars around this track, are obviously quite limited in their view when you're in the cockpit, and these two corners in particular are completely blind in the Toyota TS050. So for the purposes of the strategy guide, we will be using the bonnet cam. Now, I did see a few people in the build up to this race mention or query that it might be the Group C cars that will be the best cars around here. Do not use a Group C car, they are way off the pace. I think people are maybe remembering the last time we did this combination, it was just the Group C cars that were available. But as you'll see from the lap times, we're doing sort of high 1 minute 27s, low 1 minute 28s, so about 2.5 seconds off the pace of the modern day LMP ones like the Toyota, the Porsche and the Audi. So with that in mind, the test car for this racing strategy guide is going to be the Toyota TS050 from 2016. This is my kind of go-to car when it comes to the LMP ones. Maybe not necessarily the fastest. It looks like the Porsche out of the three of them has become the kind of meta race car, certainly going by the last few races, but I always find myself quite competitive in the Toyota even when the Porsche is strong. In terms of qualifying, it's likely to be the Audi R18. I've not tested that myself. A little bit limited in time with it being Christmas, etc. But for the race, just because of the hybrid problems that the Audi normally runs into in a lot of these tracks, the sort of Toyota and the Porsche don't run into those problems, so they should be the sort of more dominant race cars. Moving on to the strategy, first up we'll take a look at the soft medium strategy. Now, whenever you do the soft medium strategy, it is a fairly simple process. Basically find out what sort of lap time you can do on the medium tyres, and then when you go onto the soft tyres, once you start hitting those kind of lap times you know you can do on the mediums, you get a rough idea when it is time to pit. So for the purposes of this video, I knew on the medium tyres we could do late 1 minute 25s, low 1 minute 26s. So whenever we kind of got to a lap time of that kind of number, we knew it was time to come into the pits. On this case, lap number 7 there at 126.0, lap 6 at 125.6. We're looking at about 3 tenths down on our best lap. You lose the most time in the first sector. Lap number 8 was the time to come into the pits. Not a great pit entry from us. Pit crew wishing you a happy new year, so from myself as well, have a great new year, enjoy this race, and let's see what 2022 brings in the daily races. And obviously in just a few short months time we shall be venturing on to Gran Turismo 7, so plenty to look forward to in 2022. In terms of pit loss, 16.7 seconds, fuel no issue whatsoever, stay within the white line on the pit exit, don't swing out onto the racing line and get in the way of another car arriving there at a completely different speed. Be a gentleman, be a gentleman when you are leaving the pits. So let's have a look at our medium tyre stints. So did we kind of come in at the right time? Looks like just about spot on. Our first couple of laps on the medium tyres, lap 10 and 11 very tardy, but by lap 12 and 13 we are up to full speed on the medium tyres, and kind of justifying that time to come into the pits as we do a 25.6. I think we finished with a 1 minute 25.4. So in terms of the soft medium strategy, we pitted on lap 8. I think for some drivers lap 7 might be better, just depending on your ability to look after the tyres. It probably is possible to do a lap 9 on the soft tyres if you think you're going to maybe pit into traffic, or you're trying to kind of build a gap, you can see other cars are fighting. But for most drivers, lap 7 and 8 will be the time to pit from the soft tyres on to fresh mediums. Looking at the reverse strategy, obviously starting on the medium tyres, you're more likely to use this strategy if you're kind of starting below P4 and 5, because if you start on the soft tyres, obviously from the mid pack or the rear, you just run into traffic, you run into fighting, you don't get the benefit of those soft tyres. So obviously most folk in those positions do start on the mediums, and that is the most sensible thing to do. Now, we did make a little bit of a faux pas when we were doing this run here, because we went to lap number 8 on the soft tyres before going to the mediums. I did want to kind of try doing a longer stint on the soft tyres with the lower fuel. Unfortunately, I forgot to pit at the end of lap number 4 and actually pitted at the end of lap number 5. So in terms of this strategy, it's always very much been about finding that balance between the undercut and the worn tyres at the end. Obviously, the earlier you pit on your medium tyres onto the soft tyres, the bigger the undercut you get on the other drivers around you who go longer on the medium tyres, but then you're suffering with much more worn tyres towards the end. My advice is to not go beyond lap number 5 on the mediums. I think you're just wasting lap time if you go any further than that, and you will then just be undercut by anyone who pits on lap 3 or 4, giving up track position, and then you're going to be in the dirty air of those cars as well. If you're not quite so comfortable dealing with the worn tyres, then maybe lap 5 will be the best for you, and then just having slightly better tyres at the end. But yeah, as I said, I think it's around about lap 3 to 5 you're going to pit on the mediums onto the soft tyres. Soft tyres will easily do 8 tyres with the fuel burned down. So yeah, that's my kind of advice for the medium soft strategy. Actually, it went around about 5 seconds quicker on that run as well, so you can just see the improvement I'm making to my lap times as the strategy guide unfolds. So let's move on to that part of the video where we just kind of reiterate everything we've just spoke about, and I'll give you my pros and cons and how I see each of the strategies playing out. So yeah, going back to the soft medium strategy, crossover from worn soft to fresh mediums will be on laps 7 or 8 for most drivers. As always in Group 1, and to be perfectly honest with you, the aim of any strategy in any racing game aims to avoid traffic and dirty air, so you can get nice clean laps and representative lap times. Any kind of fighting you do with other drivers, any kind of dirty air you experience, just costs you lap time and obviously costs you overall finishing positions. Starting on the softs, I'd only be using this strategy if you are starting towards the front. Looking back at the medium soft strategy, as I said, I wouldn't advise doing more than 5 laps on the mediums, as the softs will easily do 8 laps on the lighter fuel load. And as I said previously, the medium soft strategy is always a balance of how big an undercut you get at the expense of worn tyres at the end. Some people will be more comfortable just having better tyres at the end and maybe having to do a few overtakes towards the end of the race. Somebody like myself, I'm more comfortable pitting a little bit early, getting that track position, and then using one of my strengths, which is kind of looking after the tyres to then still be able to hold on towards the end. Now, it's likely that the qualifying car for this one will be the Audi R18. It is generally the fastest car over a single lap out of the 3 modern day LMP1s. Unfortunately, I didn't get to test that. I would like to have done a few laps in the Audi just to see how it held up in terms of race pace as well. There's quite a few big braking zones there for the, so I don't think it'll be quite as bad for the Audi on the hybrid regen as it is at some tracks, but it will certainly suffer in comparison to the Toyota and the Porsche, which I suspect, just because of that easier to manage hybrid, will be the preferred race cars. But that's the strategy covered. I think we've covered everything we need to speak about in this one, and hopefully that proves to be useful in some way, shape or form. Let's finish off the video as we always do with a little bit of a lap guide. We're in the Toyota TS050 from 2016, brake balance at +3. Not going as far back as +4 and +5 because this car can be quite sketchy under heavy braking. You're looking for about the 150 metre board for turn 1 or the start of the grandstand. Quite hard to get these cars into that apex. At slow speed they are very, very cumbersome. And as I said, just watch that rear end under braking if you've got the brake balance too far to the rear. Somewhere between the 50 and 100 metre board as you swing into the extremely fast left-hander. Don't cut the corner on the inside and don't run too wide on the exit. Just feathering the throttle round 100R here and just after the 50 metre board, or sorry, I think it's the 100 metre board. Get the brake a little bit early for that corner, make sure you get the car into the apex, a little bit of camber there to help you. And we're on the back straight now and looking for the Dunlop sign, which is pretty much the kind of braking reference for any car, into the very, very tricky hairpin at Fuji International. Very tricky little sector here, a lot of people don't like it, as you're kind of just trying to feather the throttle and the balance and get on the power as early as you can. Some of these cars are horribly off camber. I've not given you any references through there. Do check out some other people's lap guides, but I use the orange dot on the barrier at the end for the last turn. And again, this corner slightly off camber, and because of the four-wheel driving on the throttle too early, it will try and pull to the left-hand side, so do be wary of that. But that's sort of a lap guide in the Toyota. Again, hopefully useful in some way, shape or form. I think we kind of forgot to actually start talking about any kind of references towards the end of the lap. But hey, it's Christmas. Can't always be gifts all the time. Anyway, it should be a half decent race. I know Group 1's not the most popular category for a lot of people out there, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. Should be good fun. Shame we can't use the cockpit view because we're sort of feel so kind of disadvantaged by it in the LMP ones, but we will use some cockpit view maybe on our American account or our Australian account. But I think if we're in EMEA, we'll have to go with bonnet cam just to try and be competitive. But yeah, Merry Christmas if I haven't said it to you already, and have a happy new year. Thanks for all the support throughout the year. It's been very easy to keep this channel going and do the live streams. You guys make it very, very easy, so hopefully you can keep coming back for some more live streams in the beginning of 2022 as we get ready for Gran Turismo 7 coming out. But thank you very much to all of you out there. Have a good one, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye now.